Hello friends, welcome to Salesforce CMAtics video session 140. So basically in today's video, we will understand what are the, formatting options, which are available under line chart. So very quickly, I will go to my Analytics Studio. So now I will just go to this account of left join that once we have been dealing with. And let's say I go to my line chart, okay? So under line chart, as you can see over here, like we have this count of rows, okay, which is denoted, which is showing as a line. Fine. So basically on the y-axis, you see this is that count, which is 1220 is the count, and which is reflected by a tiny dot. Now we have the options over here, like you can go for x-axis, y-axis, and lines. So under x-axis, let's say I select something like I have to select something from dimension. Let's say select industry. Okay. So basically, these are the industry which is coming under the x-axis. And for lines, let's say I select something like stage. Okay. So as you can see here, for each of the particular industry, what is that stages which are there? Okay, that is being denoted over here. For example, for this apparel, okay, we have the stage closed in this manner. So basically, this is the closed lost fine, and for each of that, it's basically showing what is that record. For example, this is represented by closed one. So for agriculture, I have the closed one as 21 count of flows. Okay, similarly for apparel, I have 34. Okay, so that's how it's going. We can only you require at least one measure, that is for sure, which has been there for every one of them except for pyramid and stack pyramid where you need two measures. But otherwise, you have to measure what you want to be defined in y-axis, and basically on x-axis, basically the line represents basically the stage. Okay, what you want to represent by line. That's the options which you have over here. Okay, so yeah, for this lines, okay, the first one which we are dealing with this line, and underline, you have to remember that you will have the x-axis, y-axis, and the lines option. Okay. Now, if you go to formatting, so these are all same. So I think I can copy from the way I was doing for earlier. I think I was following like stack bar chart. Okay, something like that. Line chart, fine. And I think this subtitles and all we can represent. I'm not walking through that now. Very quickly, I will come to this line chart option. So under axis mode, you have single axis. You can go for dual axis, and you can go for small multiples. Like here is specify how measures appear in the chart. Okay. So depending upon how you want to appear the measures, you can go for it. For example, let's say I go for count. Let's say instead of count, I go for sum, and here I go for average maybe. Okay. So yeah, with this two being there, I can go for dual axis. So if I have sum of amount and average of amount, I can go for dual axis in this manner, where on the left is, on the left y-axis is represent the sum of amount, and the right it represents the average of amount, and you can see the values over here for each of that line. For example, here I have the sum of amount as 48 million, and the average of amount as 2 million. Okay. So that's the way you can go about. You can go for small multiples where both, like you have the sum of amount as well as you have the average of amount, as you can see here. So on the below you have the sum of amount, on the top you have the average of amount. So this is the meaning of axis mode, small multiples, where it's classified into small multiples. So I have taken only two. So that's why if you want in single axis, basically in one axis only, it will show you everything. Okay, the sum of amount as well as the average amount. Like if I hover over here, it's basically showing me the sum of amount as 41 million and the average of amount as 1 million. So basically there's a particular, like, so there are 2 points actually. 1 minute. Okay, so basically similarly here also you have the same thing. So there are 2 points, which is one is at below. So that's the single axis all about, fine. And that's the thing. For example, let's say go for something like, I think to understand it better, what I can do is I can go for stage. Let me go for stage equal to, let's say, closed. Okay, I will just go for closed, fine. Now, as you can see, why I went, because it was becoming haphazard. There were too many lines, but you understand this thing. Like when you go for axis mode as single axis, basically, let's say I went for stage. So at the top, on the below, both are showing the stage. Okay, for closed mode, because this blue line represents closed mode. So it's showing a single axis. Now, when I go for dual axis, basically there will be another axis on the right, and both of them will show it in that manner. So I have the ones at the above, which is showing the sum one, the ones at the below showing the average of amount. Okay, the information tooltip you are getting for both, but that's fine. But that's the meaning of dual axis, and the small multiples represent this manner. Okay, that's what I wanted to hear. Now, basically, fill area, like if you go for single axis, and if you, like, as you can see, fill area means fill area under the line. So if you don't want to fill the area, you can disable this option. So basically, the area won't be filled, like it won't be covered. It won't be showing the blue line. As you can see right now, it's showing a blue line, blue shaded color. Okay. That's the thing. Now similarly, if you go for, let's say, dual axis, so again here you have the area fill, and if you don't want to fill the area, you can disable this option. Okay, that's how it looks like. And similarly the case for small multiples. So on the small multiple you have the fill area. If you disable, it won't show up. Okay, that's the thing. And show value as, like, you can go for compact number if you want. Okay, you can go for number, so the number, the actual number will show up. And you can go for something like percentage, like how much percentage it is representing the whole thing. Fine. So here percentage doesn't make sense, like I can go for compact number. Okay, so that's the thing about this line chart. Fine. So similarly, measure one, like how you want, whether you want to show, the measure, so you can like swap it as well. Like if I go for average of amount, okay, and here I can go for sum of amount, which is fine. So this is the measure one, which is showing the average of amount, as you can see. So if I go for sum of amount, so this is how it's being shown up. And if I go for average of amount, and here, so color for shading is showing like which color you want to shade it as. Okay, so that's the thing about this one. Let's say color for shading, I go for average of amount. Okay, so for average of amount, it's showing me the color. Okay, let me do one thing. Let me here go for, instead of small multiples, let me go for single axis only. Okay, and with single axis being there, let's say I go for sum of amount, and here I go for, let's say, average of amount. Okay, so I'm going for the sum of amount and the average of amount, as you can see over here. And if you want to show the points, you can show it in this manner. If you don't want to show it, and here let me go for none as of now. Fill area is fine. The axis mode is center. I think why it is showing now. And average of amount, there's something wrong. 1 second. Sum of amount. Okay, give me a moment. Okay, yeah, so basically let's say I go for dual axis. Okay, so I went for dual axis over here. Now as you can see here, we have this show value as, if I want, I can show it as numbers and whatever, that's fine. Now if you want to show the points, so you see one points are appearing over here. Okay, which helps us to distinguish like which one is what. Okay, and if you don't want to show that, you can just disable this one, starts axis at 0. So with 0 axis being there, if you want to show it, you can show it. Okay, shade area, what it means is shade the area between the two consecutive measures with the chosen color. If I want to shade the area, I can shade there in this manner. Fine. So whatever colors you want to put between the two areas, you can do that. So that's the meaning of shaded area. Shade the area between two chosen measures with the chosen color. So if I just go for this one, okay, that's how it's appearing. And let's say here I go for average of amount. Okay, then it is showing me the average of amount. And if I go for sum of amount, it is basically showing me the sum of amount here. Fine. And I am choosing the color. Let's say I go for average for sum of amount and choose the color for, let's say, average of amount. Okay, so for average of amount, it's basically shading the whole thing, as you can see over here. Fine. And if I want, I can use the dashed line. So as you can see, it's using the dash line over here. Fine. So for dash line, like I can, like, which one I want as a dash line. So for example, right now you see the dash line is appearing for average amount, but instead of average, let's say, okay, here it is showing average. 1 minute, let's say go for sum of amount. So basically the dash line is showing for sum amount. So basically, depending upon which one you take the color for shading, if you go for sum of amount, it will show the sum of amount as dash line. And if you go for average of amount, it will go for average of amount as the dash line. Okay, that's how this whole options is available, as you can see. Fine. And if you don't want to shade the area, you can skip that. And if you don't want to use the dash line, this is how it will look like. If you want to use the dash line, then this is how it will look like. Okay, so for shade area, it's a bit confusing where you can see the colors and all happening. If you don't want to go for it, you can use dash line and you can put that appropriate dash wherever you want. For example, I want to put for sum of amount, I can go for that. I can go for both right now, if you see. Okay, if I disable the option of shade area, I can go for average of amount, sum of amount, both as dash line. Okay, then you have something called a show axis. Like these are simple ones. Okay, you can disable this part or you can enable this part. Okay, if you want to show it, if you don't want to show it. Okay, that's the thing. Then you have y-axis left. If you want to show the title, if you don't want to show the title, you can go for this one. If you don't want to show the axis, you can go for this one. Fine. So let's say if you don't want to show both the axis, then you can disable this option from here as well as from the top also. Let's say disable this option, and here also disable this option. Okay, you see that color is not appearing. I mean that part is not appearing. It's only on the left side. So from the right axis also, if I disable this option, you won't see that thing at all. Okay, so that's the thing about this one. But yeah, anyways, for now I will just show the axis for the proper reference. That's fine. I will enable this one. So these are the options which is similar to what we did, and legend is same. Okay, basically the legends and I'm not walking through. Legends is same. Fine. The tooltip is also same. Okay, the trellis is also same. The chart markers and the conditional format. So this conditional formatting, chart markers, trellis, tooltip, and legend. This will always remain same in all the charts. Okay, we can play around with this. I've already played around, and you can add the reference line wherever it's needed. So if you add the reference line, let's say somewhere around. No, sorry, let me not instead of level. Let me put it as yeah. Okay, let me just name it as 1 million. Okay. Now this 1 million is based on this left right one, okay, which is the average, and simply because this is the y-axis, right? And here also, let's say if you want to add the y-axis left, you can add the reference line over here, and you can mention like 10 million. Let's say here I put the value as yeah, let's say I put it as. So these are the different reference line which are being defined over here. Okay, and yeah, that is all about this one. Okay, so the main thing to remember when it comes to the line charts, lines. So under lines, of course, what are the different kind of charts you have under lines? This is something which comes in derivative. You have line, you have combo. Okay, you have this parallel coordinates. So you have line, you have combo, you have parallel coordinates, and find you have metric radar. Okay, so these are the things which are available under line chart, lines, metric radar, parallel coordinates, and combo. And under lines, the main thing to remember is like, of course, these are all same, the legend, tooltip, trellis, chart markers, traditional formatting, and the general settings. But when it comes to line chart, you can play around, like you can have two measures defined under y-axis, and you can play around with the axis mode. That's where everything gets defined. Everything other properties also come into picture. You can fill the area if you need. If you don't want to, you can skip that. You can go for what kind of numbers you want to show up. Okay, so this is looking a bit clumsy as of now. I will just make it as none. Okay, and you can then play around if you want to use the dash line. If you shade the area, of course you can select one of them, like which one you want to shade the area for color for shading. But if you don't want to shade the area, you can use both of them as dashed line. Okay, you have that option. Fine. And on the y-axis, if you want to disable the axis, you can show for y-axis, like here it is like something you have y-axis left, you have y-axis right. Now you have to be very careful when you define the reference line. As you can see, this 1 million is for average of amount, something which you have on right, and this 10 million is for the left one. Okay, the y-axis left and y-axis right, that is how it's defined as well. Fine. And yeah, that is more or less about this one. And the main important thing to remember is like you have the x-axis, y-axis, and the lines. Fine. For trellis, of course, a different concept. Like we already walked through it. I'm not walking through that as of now. Okay. So yeah, that is the whole thing about this formatting options available on the line chart. Maybe I can just save it as formatting options of line chart. Okay. So let me just quickly save it as formatting options of line chart. I can save it in my recipe data set. So yeah, that was all about this video. I hope you enjoyed it. And in our next video, we will go for the combo chart. So yeah, that's it. Thank you. And let's meet very soon in our next